Something is happening across the world right now, and most people haven't noticed it yet. People go to Paris once. They see the Eiffel Tower, take a few photos, maybe eat a croissant, and that's it, done. Rome, checked off in a weekend. You've seen the Colosseum, the Vatican, the piazzas, and then you move on. New York. Sure, it's electric, overwhelming, endlessly exciting, but most people call it once in a lifetime and never go back. But Malaysia is different. I've been paying attention to this for months, talking to travelers at hawker centers, airports, guest houses, and coffee shops. And everywhere I go, I notice the same pattern. People don't just visit Malaysia, they come back. Some twice, some 5 times. Some quietly rearrange their entire lives just to stay longer. And when I asked them why, not a single person gave me the answer I expected. It wasn't the Petronas Towers. It wasn't the islands. It wasn't even the food, though the food alone could justify the flight. It was something far deeper. Something about Malaysia that even most Malaysians don't fully realize about their own country. Before we get into the real reason the world keeps choosing Malaysia, hit that subscribe button right now. Because this isn't another travel ranking or tourist checklist. This is about understanding why Malaysia hits differently. The kind of country that stays with you long after you leave. The kind of feeling you simply cannot capture in a photo or a TikTok clip. And I promise you by the end of this video, you are going to see Malaysia in a way most people never do. The hidden force that even repeat visitors struggle to put into words. It all started for me at a travel conference in Kuala Lumpur. The kind where researchers and tourism officials gather to talk about data and trends and projections. Very official, very serious. And in the middle of one panel discussion, a researcher stood up and said something that made the entire room go quiet. She said, "We have been studying tourism data across Southeast Asia for 5 years, and there is one pattern we cannot explain." She put up a slide. Malaysia's return visitor rate, the percentage of tourists who come back a second, third, even fourth time, was significantly higher than every regional competitor. Higher than Thailand, higher than Indonesia, higher than Vietnam. Nobody in that room could explain it. She looked out at the audience and said, "Whatever Malaysia is doing, it is not in the brochure, because we have read every brochure." I remember sitting in that room and feeling something click. Because she was right. The brochure shows the towers and the beaches and food. All of it true, all of it beautiful. But none of it explains why 42 million people chose Malaysia last year. None of it explains why people who have seen 30, 40, 50 countries still say Malaysia. Again, as if the answer is obvious. I left that conference with one question I couldn't shake. What is the brochure missing? I found the beginning of the answer in Penang. I was sitting in a coffee shop in Georgetown, the kind where the ceiling fans turn slowly and the kopi is strong and the morning moves at its own pace, when I got talking to a woman at the next table. She was from Argentina, 34 years old. She had spent 6 weeks traveling Southeast Asia, Thailand first, then Vietnam, then Cambodia. All of it beautiful, all of it memorable. Malaysia was at the very end, almost an afterthought, a few days to fill before her flight home. She told me what happened within 40 minutes of arriving in Georgetown. She was standing on the street looking at a map when a stranger noticed her. He didn't wait to be asked. He just said, "Where are you trying to go?" She told him. He said, "Come, I'll take you." He walked her there, introduced her to the owner, said something in Malay that made the owner smile and nod, and then he left. No payment, no expectation, nothing. She stood there for a moment, she told me, completely stunned. In 6 weeks of travel across 4 countries, that had never happened. Not once. That evening, she opened her laptop and changed her flight home. She spent the next 3 weeks entirely in Malaysia. And when I asked her if she was coming back, she smiled before I even finished the question. "I'm already looking," she said. "I started looking the day after that conversation in Penang. I made it my mission to find more. I wanted to understand what kept drawing people back to a country that most of the world had only just started to discover." In Kuala Lumpur, I met a teacher from Canada who had come for a 4-day professional conference. He extended his stay by a week just to explore. And within 2 days of arriving, a Malaysian colleague he had known for 48 hours invited him to his family's Hari Raya open house. He went, not knowing what to expect. I spoke to him the morning after, and what he described stopped me completely. He sat at a table with 3 generations of a Malaysian family, was given rendang and ketupat, was taught patiently, with enormous laughter, how to fold the ketupat correctly, got it wrong 4 times. The grandmother corrected him every time and found it funnier with each attempt. He was sent home with enough food for 3 days. I have never felt less foreign, he told me. In a country that was not mine, at a table I was never supposed to be at, I have never felt more included. He has recommended Malaysia to every colleague he has spoken to since that trip. In Ipoh, I found myself sitting across from a retired professor from the Netherlands, 63 years old. He had traveled to 41 countries over a lifetime of work. The kind of man who had seen enough of the world to stop being easily moved by it. He told me about the evening he got lost near the old town. Not dramatically lost, just turned around in a quiet neighborhood with no data signal and a map that wouldn't load. He walked into a small provision shop. Ceiling fan, dusty shelves. The kind of shop that has been there longer than most of the street around it. The uncle inside couldn't speak much English. The professor couldn't speak a word of Malay. But within 10 minutes, the uncle had called his nephew who spoke English, who then drove the professor to his guest house, 20 minutes out of his way, and refused every single attempt to be paid. I asked the professor what that moment felt like. He was quiet for a second. Then he said, in Amsterdam, that uncle would have pointed at Google Maps and gone back to his work. In Malaysia, a stranger gave up his entire evening for me. For nothing. For absolutely nothing. He had been back to Malaysia twice since that first trip. Both times, he went back to that provision shop. As I collected more and more of these stories, one truth kept rising to the surface. Malaysia isn't a country that performs for tourists. In Thailand, there are zones designed for visitors. Curated experiences that look perfect in photographs, but often feel transactional. Like you are a customer being processed, not a person being welcomed. In Japan, the routes are breathtaking, efficient, spotless, but there is always a polite distance, a sense that you are an outsider looking at life from behind a glass wall. Always respected, always welcomed, but always outside. Even Singapore, as impressive and world-class as it is, can feel polished to a point where something human has been smoothed away. Beautiful, yes, but somehow untouchable. Malaysia never learned to perform. The Mamak at 2 a.m. isn't open for tourists. It's open because Malaysians eat at 2 a.m. The auntie at the Pasar Malam isn't there for Instagram. She's working, chatting, cooking, just living. The uncle at the Kopitiam isn't a cultural exhibit. He's just being himself. In Malaysia, visitors don't just watch life. They step inside it, breathe it, become part of it. And that authenticity, that raw, unscripted, perfectly imperfect human life is something you cannot fake. It's the first piece of the puzzle. And it's what makes Malaysia feel different to every single person who arrives here. But what really sets Malaysia apart isn't just the warmth of its people. It's something even more extraordinary. Something I noticed every single time I walk down a street in this country. Walk down any street in Kuala Lumpur, and you will hear 4 languages in a single conversation. Malay, Mandarin, Tamil, English. I watched a Malay uncle, a Chinese auntie, and an Indian brother argue passionately about football at a hawker center, laughing like lifelong friends despite the fact that each of them grew up speaking a different language at home.
To every Malaysian watching this, you might think you were just being friendly, just helping someone who looks lost, just sharing your favorite food spot, just making space at the table for someone who doesn't know anyone. But I've spent months collecting the stories that happened because of exactly those moments. The woman from Argentina who changed her entire flight home. She did that because of one stranger who walked her to lunch and asked for nothing in return. The teacher from Nigeria who recommends Malaysia to every person he meets. He does that because of one family who made him feel like he belonged at their table. The professor from the Netherlands who keeps flying back to a provision shop in Ipoh. He does that because of one uncle who gave up his evening for a stranger who couldn't even speak his language. What feels completely normal to you is extraordinary to the rest of the world. You are the reason visitors return year after year. You are the secret behind the changed flights and the extended trips and the friendships that span continents. What feels ordinary to you is the very thing that 42 million people flew across the world to find. Other countries give you sights. Malaysia gives you stories. Other countries give you experiences. Malaysia gives you relationships. Other countries leave you with photographs. Malaysia leaves you with people you will never forget. I remember the woman from Argentina sitting in that coffee shop in Georgetown telling me about the stranger who walked her to lunch. She said something I haven't been able to stop thinking about. In every other country I visited, I felt like I was taking something. Photos, memories, experiences. In Malaysia, I felt like I was being given something by the people themselves. And I didn't know how to leave that behind. That's Malaysia, not just a destination, not just a country that topped a tourism ranking, a place where strangers become family before the meal is over, a place that gets under your skin in the most quiet and permanent way, a place that 42 million people chose last year, not because a brochure told them to, but because something happens to them when they arrived. Something that has no name, but that you recognize the moment you feel it. And once you feel that, you always come back. Before you go, hit that subscribe button and join us on this journey. We uncover the stories, the hidden magic, and the real heart of Malaysia. The moments you will never find in any guidebook. The truth behind why this country keeps the whole world coming back. Don't just watch, experience it with us.